Hello, everyone. It is me, Helen V. Hicks. I am so happy to be here with all of you this evening. So happy that you tuned in. And for anyone who may be watching the replay later, thank you for being here. So, this is Parenting Through School Anxiety. And I have a lot of information that I've crammed in here, and I'm really going to try to make it all work for 30 minutes so I don't waste any of your time. So, I am going to jump right in. All right. So, the first thing in regards to parenting through your child's school anxiety is your reaction, because your reaction sets the tone for everything that follows afterwards. So, some of the things that I have seen or heard of parents doing, and this is completely unintentional. So, this is part of why I'm presenting it, because I know a lot of parents do it, and it's not your intention to skew your child's perception of what they're experiencing, but it can happen. So, the first thing is the questions that you ask can sometimes set your child up to believe he or she should be experiencing certain things. So I understand that as a parent, because I have my own kids, sometimes you do need to ask certain questions. You're trying to figure out, well, what exactly is going on? Does this hurt? Does that hurt? Does it feel this way? Does it feel that way? If you have any inkling at all that this may be anxiety related, I want you to shift the questions that you're asking. So instead of being very specific about certain body parts and how they may or may not feel, I want you to kind of make this broader and really open it up and ask your child, okay, close your eyes for a minute and really just kind of tune into your body and tell me how your body is feeling. Okay. So encourage your child to really jump in there and kind of put some things together themselves rather than waiting for you to give them answers or to lead them into certain things. Um, Good evening, people. I noticed that some of you are messaging me, and I can't message back on certain platforms. So I appreciate you being here, and I hope you stay with me. Um, so, the next thing in regards to your reaction setting the tone, your nonverbal cues. Okay, so it could be your hand to your forehead or to the side of your face. It could even be folding your arms. These different types of, physical reactions, along with some of those verbal, reactions like loud sighs, rolling your eyes, things of that nature, that causes your child to then ignite some fear. Okay. So you have to understand that fear is the base of anxiety. So, if anything that you are doing, if your reaction in any way, shape, or form is feeding into the fear that is already there, then it's going to make this problem worse. It's just going to compound things. And your child may already be in fear of what's going to happen with the teacher, or what's going to happen with other kids, or what's going to happen with their work. So the last thing that they need is to feel like they're somehow also making their parent upset with them, that they're disappointing their parent. So in your reactions, I want you to be a little bit more mindful of where you're at with them. I do understand, like I myself, my face is very expression. I'm very expressive with my face. So sometimes there's looks on my face that I'm not really thinking about and they just happen. But if you know your child is struggling with anxiety, this is something you need to be more mindful of. All right. So, what I want you to do instead is, as much as possible, normalize, because it's 100% normal to feel anxious, dread, stressed, bored, tired at some point in time of your school experience. Like, that's completely normal to feel that at some point in time. It gets concerning when it's all the time. So, what I mean by that is, I've definitely had my boys at some point in time be like, oh, I don't want to go to school. I was like, you know what? I understand. I didn't always want to go to school either. But you know what? Is what we have to do. Sometimes it sucks, but we figure it out. So being able to normalize their emotional reaction that, hey, you don't have to feel great about everything that you have to do all the time. It's okay to have those moments of, oh, I don't want to go. But just don't blow it up into something bigger and more concerning if it's possible to just normalize it and help your child move through it. Okay. So, what I have at the bottom of the screen, and let me move myself, there's a difference between natural and irrational anxiety. All right. So, natural anxiety absolutely never goes away. We all experience it at some point in time. And natural anxiety kicks in whenever we have to do something that's unfamiliar. If we don't already have a pattern in our brains of how to move through this particular situation, natural anxiety is going to be there because that's part of its job. Part of its job is to prepare us for the unknown so that we can react quickly to it. So, when people are facing something new or different, I'm always saying, yeah, it's okay for you to feel that way. It should be there. It's a good thing. It means your body is working properly. But sometimes what I see is people aren't aware that some anxiety is natural and it should be there. And so any sign of anxiety at all, they blow it up and they make it bigger than what it should be. And then it turns into irrational anxiety, where instead of it coming in, preparing you for the unknown, and then subsiding, it comes in, it stays, and it's on heightened alert that even after you have clearance, after you know that, okay, nothing bad is happening here, you got this, you're okay, you're still at that heightened sense of response. That's when it's irrational and that's when it becomes problematic. Okay. So if you start off with normalizing, hey, it's okay to not feel that great about going to school today. It's okay to feel bored with it. It's okay to not like the kids. It's okay to not like your teacher. These are all things that have the potential to repeat over time, and you don't want to give your child the information or even the feedback that anytime they feel icky about it, they should stay home, they shouldn't go, they should avoid it, because avoidance is another thing that feeds into the fear and it makes all of the anxiety worse. Okay. So, relaxation is always, 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 always going to be at the top of the list when you're dealing with anxiety because it is physically impossible for your body to be tense and anxious and relaxed at the same time. So, being able to relax is your number one skill. And it's a little tricky sometimes being able to teach children relaxation skills. Some kids hop on it right away. They get it, they got it, they're cool with it. And other kids may struggle a little bit. So I try to make relaxation skills a little bit more fun. So, depending on the age of your child may be really into some of the funner relaxation skills versus if you have a teenager may be more focused on things that are a bit more low key. So, all right, with breathing, always a first step. If you can control your breath, you can control just about every other function of your body. Your breathing is extremely important because your breathing is automatic. We don't think about breathing until we have to think about breathing. Most of the day, we go through our days without thinking that we're inhaling or exhaling. And therefore, our breathing patterns shift automatically. When our breathing patterns shift, it sends a message to our brain, and our brain then interprets it and it sends messages out to the rest of our body. So, if your breathing pattern changes from normal to then that is sending a message to your brain, and your brain is telling everything else in your body, be on alert. There's danger. We need to watch out for the danger. What's happening? What's going on? Okay, so now this is the start of anxiety kicking in. Now, if this is an irrational anxiety, there really isn't a justified reason for a person to have this reaction at this time. Then, by simply controlling their breath, you can bring your brain out of this state, stop those signals from going to all over the body, and regain a sense of control and not go into having a panic attack or any other physical symptoms. All right. So, just for a minute, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to hope that you can see me. Let me change this. So, one of the very first breathing exercises that I do for smaller kids is called the elevator. So, have them stand up and their hands go at the bottom like they're holding a box. So, they're kind of like holding the elevator. And as you think about it, all those butterflies in your stomach or whatever it is that you want to call them, say, all right, put them all in the elevator or put as many as you can in the elevator. And then as you inhale, you're going to bring the elevator up to the top floor. And then you're going to blow them out of the elevator. And then the elevator goes back down. And if there are more butterflies that need to get in the elevator, load them up and blow them out. And release your elevator again. Okay, so that is a breathing exercise that can help smaller kids. Another one is what I call the elephant. So it's kind of like you're going to put one hand around here, and this hand is going to be your elephant trunk. And the elephant has to reach down, suck up the water. In this case, it's going to be air. And then he's going to blow that water out, which is also the air. So it's going to look like this. Okay, so that's the elephant. The last breathing exercise that I have for smaller children is the balloon. So think about you blow up a balloon and then you release that balloon and the air kind of sends it all over the place. So that's kind of what we're going to do. You're going to inhale, blow up your balloon as much as you possibly can. And being able to let your balloon go. Okay, so these are like some fun breathing exercises for smaller kids. But there are lots of other breathing exercises out there if you have an older child who's really not into doing those. Okay, you can also distract with silly behavior. I mean, silly behavior is like always my go-to thing. Anytime I'm feeling stressed, I feel like my kids are stressed or overwhelmed, I jump right into silly behavior. It's a distraction, it's a healthy distraction, and it's a way to get kids to refocus off of this thing over here that has them feeling stressed and anxious and onto something that they can control. Okay. Dancing. Dancing is another thing, and older kids may be more apt to get involved with the dancing piece, whether they want to do it by themselves in the room, whether you guys want to do it in the living room, you want to do it before you walk out the door, whatever it is that you want, but being able to dance and put your body in motion, it causes those muscles to start to relax because, again, your body cannot be tense and relaxed at the same time. So anything that you can do that introduces relaxation is great. Okay. Last skill that I have for you. And again, this is not the extent of all the available relaxation skills. These are kind of like my top ones that I go to often with children and adults. All right. So it's the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so this is very simple. It's a bit of a mindfulness thing. So you're going to identify 5 things that you can see. So in that moment, you're going to ask your child, okay, tell me 5 things that you see. And then you're going to talk about 4 things that you can hear. And then 3 things you can touch. two things you can smell, and one thing you can taste. So the one thing that you can taste goes into my dot, 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 insert pause. So another thing that I utilize with this for adults is carry Lifesavers, Tic Tacs, any type of hard candy on you. And when you get down to one thing that you can taste, you put one in your mouth and you have to suck on it. You can't chew it up and swallow it. You have to suck on it because this is a very critical, interesting tactic. It's disrupting the flow of anxiety. Okay. Every behavior pattern that we have, it's like imprinting a groove in your brain to where your brain starts with, okay, so I do this, 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 I do this. And anxiety starts to develop a same type of groove in a person's brain. So if you can do anything, even something as small as sucking on a piece of candy that disrupts that pattern, that when your brain goes here, here, and it's like, wait, 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 wait. I'm not jumping to step number three. Wait, what's going on? It becomes an opportunity to introduce change. It becomes an opportunity for empowerment and to do something different. So, the next thing is kind of piggybacking off of what I just said in helping your child to develop that sense of empowerment. All right. Anxiety is about feeling a lack of control, and empowerment is about the opposite. It's about feeling a sense of control. But the key here is knowing what is within your control and being able to focus on the things that are truly within your control. Because if you focus on the things that are outside of your control and you can't get that objective, that outcome that you desire, then you come back to feeling that sense of failure. You have more anxiety, you have more fear, all of that stuff. But a sense of empowerment counters that. It gives you a sense of control that, okay, I don't have to worry about all that stuff over there. I don't have to worry if my teacher is mean. I don't have to worry if Susie gets too loud. I don't have to worry if Greg is under his chair. I don't have to worry if somebody's doing something they're not supposed to do. I don't have to worry about if I'm going to have a quiz. I can just focus on the things that are within my control and I can feel safe and I can feel good about me. Okay. So, again, this is also in regards to not everybody's going to like school, not everybody's going to like their teacher. So, focus on things that you do like spending time with your friends. You know, I can attest to there were a couple of years in my school experience where that's all I was focused on. It's like I'm going to school because all my friends are at school. So being at home would be boring. And that's perfectly okay. If it's what gets your child out the door and into school, then fine. They can focus on whatever it is that gives them a sense of empowerment. They can also get involved with clubs or special activities, sports, things of that nature, because a lot of things that are, of course, promoted by the school are also about, hey, you have to be in attendance in order to participate in it. So if it's giving your child a different focus, let's not focus on the parts of this that you don't like. Let's focus on the parts that you do. Next is identify ways to help. So, this isn't just about your child helping him or herself. This is also about, are there other ways that your child can help other people? Whether it's being assistant in the library, it's helping out with a different class, or helping themselves in terms of, and I'm going to get to bullying soon. So, helping yourself sometimes when it comes to bullies can be you beat them to the punchline. Like, make it humorous, make it a joke. Oh, what? So you're going to tell me I'm short again today? Oh, so original. So being able to brush it off And once you take away what that person was going to use as, a jab, an insult, a way of hurting you, once you take it away and you own it, you're helping yourself and you're also disarming that bully. Okay, so it's a way for them to help themselves. Um, Last thing that I have here, and I put a couple of stars next to it, is earning rewards at home. And I put a couple of stars next to it because it's not something I want parents to rely on. Like, oh, you went to school and now you have something extra that we have to do when you get home. Because I know a lot of people already have pretty heavily scheduled agendas, and I don't want to add more to that agenda. And if you start forgetting it because you're getting lost in everything else, then that may decrease your child's interest in attending school if they're not getting the associated reward with it when they get home. So I kind of put this one out there as kind of like a last ditch effort. If there's something at home that your child is genuinely willing to work towards earning, excuse me, absolutely put it on there. But otherwise, try to stick with the other things. Sorry about that. My next thing here is prizing instead of praising. So, what is prizing? Prizing is when you are really focused on telling your child the actual behavior he or she is engaged in that you're proud of, that you think they're doing a good job with. So, some examples here is I really like how you pulled it together this morning and used your relaxation skills. So it's not just a vague, good job, way to go, because that's praising. And praising can become problematic in that kids are doing things seeking out the next good job because that's external. But prizing is about taking it back to that internal and that sense of empowerment. Because if you said, hey, you did a really good job of pulling it together and using your relaxation skills, now your child is like, I did do that. I can do that. I am good at this. So now it's taking it from an external sense of control of praising to an internal sense of control of prizing. Okay. Next is process over outcome. So, outcome is grades, outcome is awards, outcome is scholarships, outcome is recognition. And outcomes are also things that no one has 100% control over. Even as much as we would like to send that message to our kids that if they work as hard as they can, they'll get an A. Uh, it doesn't always happen that way. I mean, sometimes that's due to because no matter how hard your child works, that's just not their subject. That's just not their strong point. Or maybe there's a problem with this particular teacher. Like there's so many different reasons as to why what someone does, the work that they do, doesn't equate to the outcome that they receive. So I don't want you to teach your children this at an early age and then they find out in adulthood, like, hey, this doesn't always work. One plus two is not always three. So I don't want you to focus on the outcome. I want you to focus on the process. And the process is being able to put in that effort, asking them, well, how do you feel about it? Do you feel comfortable with this material that's being presented? Do you feel like you understand it? Well, what do you like about it? What are some things you don't like about it? So that's focusing on the process rather than the outcome. Because again, if your child isn't receiving that outcome, this is opening the door wide for them to internalize and say, I'm broken. There's something wrong with me. And that feeds into them not wanting to go to school so that they're not in a place where they're constantly getting feedback that I'm not good enough. So let's move away from outcomes and let's focus on the process. Well, do you feel like you did your best? Is there anything you feel like you could do differently? Well, let's focus on those things. Okay. I know I'm getting really close to my time and I'm speed talking, but I'm almost there. So I'm going to take myself out of this so you can actually see what I have written. Okay. So bullying. I know bullying is like a huge thing that's going on nowadays. The first thing that I want you to understand is that there is an inverse relationship between intimidation and empowerment. So, what this means is as intimidation goes up, empowerment of the other person goes down. And this is bullying across all aspects, not just with children, but with adults as well. Because if you have a particularly strained workplace, a stressful workplace in which you may feel intimidated by other people there, then yes, as that sense of intimidation goes up, your sense of empowerment goes down. And the way we want to combat this is by bringing up that sense of empowerment. Okay. And here's where in the yellow square, I really need to stress this. I'm always an advocate of use your words. If somebody is saying or doing something that you don't like, absolutely your first defense is use your words. Say, stop, no, don't do that, leave me alone. And it needs to be said with the sense of empowerment. Like you know that you deserve to have people leave you alone and to treat you respectfully. It has to be said with that emphasis because coming back to something else I said, I don't know when, over 80% of the message of communication is received through nonverbals like tone. And I know I'm saying nonverbals, but tone is also a verbal, but it's not the words, essentially. It's how you say things conveys more of the message than the actual words you are saying. So, just really, really quick, saying stop is very different from stop. Sorry if that was really loud. Um, so, but coming back to that yellow square, and I know I'm running out of time. Um, the first time your child says stop, the first time your child uses his or her own empowerment, his or her words to set limits and to get bullies to back down, the first time they do that, it may not be enough to balance out the intimidation and the empowerment um, inequalities. Okay. And the first time someone stands up for themselves, the immediate reaction of the other party is anger. And the anger comes into play because they are trying to regain control of this situation. They are trying to take away your sense of empowerment. They are trying to up that sense of intimidation so they can maintain this dynamic. So your children need to know, yes, I want you to say stop. Yes, I want you to say leave me alone, but please be prepared. You may need to say these things multiple times before you balance out those levels of intimidation and empowerment, and then the bullying stops. This is not about not telling an adult. Like, absolutely, if you feel like you need to tell an adult, you want to tell an adult, it helps you to feel more comfortable, it helps you to feel safe, it helps to keep that fear down, then absolutely go to an adult and tell an adult. But please know, standing up for yourself is going to take you much further than only telling an adult. Okay. So, when to seek professional help, and I will wrap this up in a few minutes. So let me get me out of the way. Um, if your child is having physical symptoms, and I mean this is not just the butterflies in the stomach kind of thing, or it's not just a headache, but it is more than just something that is easily, fixed. So if your child is repeatedly experiencing physical symptoms, your child is experiencing panic attacks, which is shortness of breath, hyperventilating, racing heartbeat, sweating uncontrollably, like these things are all symptoms of panic attacks. If your child gets to the point where the anxiety is so bad, your child can't even use the relaxation skills, the coping skills, or anything that we've talked about. Your child just is like completely unable to do anything. And the last one is complete debilitation. Your child isn't getting up for school at all. Your child isn't participating in anything's related to school, homework, socializing with people. Any of these types of symptoms going on, absolutely, please, 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 please seek out professional help. Okay. And lastly, here is my QR code. I do have an online parenting course. It is up and running. It is available to any and all. It is only $47 a month, so you can come and learn what you need to learn, and you can leave whenever you are ready. I know a lot of people associate price with quality, but I assure you, everything in my parenting course is just as much quality and higher than what I have presented to you here tonight. And my course is priced low because my professional desire is to reach 1% of the world's parenting population and teach them how to parent healthier and easier. So it is priced so that 1% of the world's population can participate. I have checked out some of the other top parenting coaches, and they have courses that are available for hundreds and some thousands of dollars. And I personally think that's unfair. The majority of my professional career has been with the disadvantaged, the people who are often overlooked, and the people where physical financial resources are a big struggle. So I want to keep all of those people in mind, and whether that is your story or not, I still want you to have access to quality skills and instructions and guidance of how to have the healthy parenting experience you deserve without breaking the bank, right? So thank you, everyone. Thanks for staying for a couple of extra minutes, and I will see you next time.